Slurpty derp. How's it going, my G's? Hope you're all doing well. Hope you've all had a nice weekend. Had a really nice gig on Saturday night here in Berlin. It was a lot of fun. I stayed up pretty late. I was playing at 2 a.m. until 3:30. Really nice turnout in the club as well. Quite a nice number of people. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, it wasn't drinking, just drinking my Red Bulls and my Coca-Colas to stay awake. But yeah, had a wicked time. And I actually uploaded a recording of my set on Patreon as well, just to say thanks to those of you who support me on there, because I know, especially shout out to Kerry, was asking, when can I hear an Artifact set? I live in America, and I can't really get over to Berlin. So there's a set on there for you now. You're welcome. Yes. Anyway, today I've got another phase plant base, and I've almost finished making my first phase plant preset pack, which I'm going to drop this weekend. And yeah, this is going to be one of the sounds that I think I'll probably put on it. I'm going to drop like a little free one for some of you guys, and also like a premium pack as well. And this is the ridiculous foghorn. Excuse the clickbaity title, as always. And yeah, let's have a little listen to the loop.
The Parables of Phase Plant.
So if we go into phase plant, and we'll just have a little look at the patch, and we'll start off with the voicing.
Listen.
So the idea on making this kind of foghorn sound was to use like an instrument like that has a brass element to it to begin the proceedings, and then morph that through like a couple of sine waves. So I've chosen the trombone here, which is the trombone C3, so it's one of the samples that comes within Vital. And first up, we have a little bit of noise I've added in here. So we have two groups, the main group of the foghorn, which is a bit of noise, sort of at 4%, and high passed. And then, then we have our sample, which is like the main sort of texture. And then this is going to be FMing into the sine wave here, which is at -12. And then that's going to go into another sine wave, which is also at -12, but the harmonic is up, so it's actually sort of an octave higher. And yeah, that's basically like the main part. And then there's just like a reinforcement bass underneath it, so another sine wave down here. And this one's going to go straight to lane 3, or maybe I'll even switch it to the master actually here, because I did put a few extra effects on lane 3 a minute ago. Anyway, then we've got like a bit of global unison on the whole patch to like give a bit of stereo spread to everything. And that's going to be controlled though. And then we've got an LFO doing the main sort of foghorn movement. So the idea is it sort of creeps up quite slowly, and the filter will open up, and we'll go on to the effects shortly. But let's just jump back into the kind of voicing here. So if you listen to how it sort of sounds, where it's just the noise, obviously, you know what noise sounds like, don't you? So here's the trombone with the noise. And then as we add in the first sine wave here, the phase modulation increases over time. So I've just, set the output to the phase. And then what I've done is on my LFO here, I've clicked the plus and I've set this to the little yellow circle. And then once that's done, I can just right click it and select the percentage of how much I want it to increase. So you can see the waveform slowly like starts to morph. If I was to turn it up more, it's a bit too much for me. So like 18% was pretty good. And then the second one, this goes into another sine wave, but I don't believe this one is on my. Is it on my? I'm not sure if it's on there. Let's have a little look. No, it's just, this one's not modulating on the LFO, it's just set to on, and we've just used it a little bit here. We've turned up the sync a little bit. Just add some extra harmonics into the wave. So that's basically like the main part, and then obviously adding my sub bass again underneath. And this one I've turned up quite a lot, and playing with the levels of all of them always helps to sort of get that exact tone that you're after. So it's pretty nice already. So what we're going to do now to like make it more of a classic like foghorn sound, although maybe this is not a real classic foghorn, but it's my version of a foghorn. I don't know. Yeah, what we're going to do next is we're going to filter up and down on a low pass. That's very important. We're going to distort it a lot as well. We're going to add in a bit of movement, and we're also going to reverb it to give it that larger than life sound. And then, you know, throughout this whole process, we're going to add in a few extra layers of distortion just to sort of bring the volume back up every time we sort of take the volume down a bit by adding reverb or by low passing it. We're going to compensate by re-distorting it again every time throughout the signal chain. So anyway, let's move over to the effects.
Effects.
So starting off with the effects then, I've got a nice low pass filter to, yeah, really give us that sort of creeping up, you know, leaving some of those high bright harmonics to come in a bit later on. And that's on the biased mode. So I've just gone through this different settings and chosen one that I thought that it suited the sound. And obviously we've taken out some of the highs now. So we're going to start to add some of these back in again. And one way I've done that is using the ring mod with the band pass noise mode, and then turning up the bias and the rectify, and then having just a little bit on the mix because it's quite heavy with noise. So just a little bit here. Helps to reintroduce a bit of noise into the signal chain that we've sort of taken out from the filter. Just make sure to turn the frequency up and the spread is up a little bit as well for a bit of extra width. Then I'm going to make it a little bit more natural with a convolution reverb. This is the stairway mode. This is going to automate in over time as well on the mix. But it's already on from the beginning. It just kind of gets a bit more intense as you hold the note down. So as those high harmonics come out, it smooths it off a bit by, you know, introducing more reverb. Now we're going to start to like really get a nice tone from it by distorting it quite a lot. So this is the sine distortion, which I really, really like. And we're going to drive this up on the LFO. So like it's on already to begin with again, but the LFO will just increase the intensity of it. So, you know, mapping that to the drive here. And yeah, we've used the bias to just bring it all the way to the left so we can shape the tone of the distortion. Now I've got a bit of cool kind of sort of volume automation with the ring mod. So if I turn this up all the way, get a nice sort of flutter and wobble into the sound, and I'm just mixing this in so it comes in a little bit over time, and also LFOing the frequency so it changes the rate, the kind of speed of the sound. It kind of slows down over time as well. So you hear like it's a subtle detail, but towards the end of the sound, there's a little bit more movement that comes in. If I just exaggerate it a little bit. So you hear at the end, it starts to move a bit more. If I go a little bit harder here. Yeah, there we get quite a nice amount of wobble, but I just want a subtle amount here. So it just adds a bit of nice movement that you don't like really pay attention to, but it's there. Then I've got a comb filter, and this is mixed in just a little bit, and this is going to come up on the LFO, sort of 5% as well. Just gives a bit more of a classic foghorn sound when you add a bit of that comb filter kind of effect into it. Then phase distortion. Kind of targeting the higher harmonics and getting those a bit more bright and energetic by having the tone all the way up, and then driving this on the LFO. Then again, like a little bit more distortion just because I felt like it's still a bit quiet. So I'm kind of just like saturating it a bit more. Sort of +6 here on the overdrive. It's getting kind of close to that finished sound now for me. And the spread, a nice little way to add a bit of width here and there throughout the sound. Then we've got a little bit of ensemble, like basically a little bit like chorus. Just to kind of blend those voices all together a bit more. A little bit of a high end boost on the EQ. Bob is almost your uncle, and there's a bit of distortion at the end. Just to like give it that last little push of saturation. And one more thing that we did was on the global unison, I've also got the blend coming up, so it actually starts off quite mono without much unison on, and then without any on really. And then as it comes up on the LFO, it will start to widen as well, like a Venus flytrap. That's what we like. Bit of glide and legato on here as well. And so when I've got my little, you know, at the end here, my little MIDI patch that I wrote, you can hear these little kind of, yeah, nice little Grace notes. Shout out to Grace. So that's pretty nice. And then a couple of little things for the post-processing, I suppose.
Processing.
So I haven't done much here at the end. I've just put on a bit of Ruiner because it's a nice distortion plugin, which is free, and I rave about it a lot and adds a little bit of extra. It's almost like this overly distorted signal, but when you blend it in a little bit, you just get a bit more of a high-end push, so it can cut through a bit amongst all the other chaos that I've got, all the drums and such. And then I've got an LFO tool, just to like literally side change the kick a little bit. So yeah, with that all together then. That's my Phase Plant Parables Chronicles of Riddick Slurp Foghorn Extravaganza. So I hope you like that video. Yeah, much love to you guys. Hope you have a great start to your week. Hope it's very productive. And maybe I'll do a live stream at some point this week as well. And yeah, don't do anything I wouldn't. Ciao for now. Stay safe. Stay green. Stay in the woods. Eat your vegetables. Say hi to your nan. Bye.
Too great.